Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life. And yes, I just got back from vacation yesterday. I saw I had a video in the queue for you, and I thought that was going to air today, and when it didn't, I was completely shocked. I apologize. That is Monday's video, and so I did not make a Friday video for you, but I'm here with some quick reflections on it's a lot. Let's go ahead and get started with our prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Summe glorioso Deus. Illumina tenebras cordis mei, et da mihi fidem rectum, spet certum et caritatem perfectum, sensum et cognitionem perfectum. Let's start again, friends. I'm still getting used to these words. I don't know about you. This is the prayer before the crucifix, and even saying it in English, there's these little variations, and now I was jumping lines because I wanted to put cognitionem with perfectum. I wanted perfect understanding. Let's try that again. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Summe gloriose Deus. Illumina tenebras cordis mei, et da mihi fidem rectum, spem certum et caritatem perfectum, sensum et cognitionem Domini, ut faciam tuum sanctum et verax mandatum. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Please, friend, let me know if putting that up on the screen helps, or if putting it in a particular place or size on the screen is helping you, or if we need to slow down and go over these some more. I want to take this moment to let you know that if you've been trying to pray the rosary in Latin, and I don't really instruct you on how to do that, we just kind of jump in and do it in some of our videos. Dr. Taylor Marshall is going to have like a 14 video series on praying the rosary in Latin. I mean, it starts out with a little trailer kind of giving you an overview of what he's going to do, and then the next one are reasons to pray the rosary as well as common objections to praying the rosary, and then he's going to get started. So today I think is the first instructional one. The other ones have been the overview and the objections. They're already out there, so you can go and grab them. So while I was on vacation, which I'm doing that because it was really a double funeral for some aunts who had passed away during COVID, but not of COVID. So we had their ashes, and we needed to have a funeral for them and to actually bury them, as well as my husband and I stopped by the grave site of the third of the four siblings on our way home as well. And of course, we spent most of the time with my father-in-law, who is the baby of the family, the fourth sibling. So I know it was, in one way, in some ways, it was a lot, right? It was, people keep asking me what it was. It was a lot. Now, that's an expression I had not heard really before this trip, but it really stuck in my head, and I realized I've been saying it a lot. So let's break it down a little bit here. That was a lot because in one way we were celebrating our aunts. We were celebrating Aunt Joan and Aunt Mary and their lives and their amazing contributions to our lives, as well as lessons that they taught us towards the end of our lives, as well as we were celebrating all the family that was together. And for many of us, it will be the last time we go to that small town where that family really started, and no one really lives in that small town anymore. And so, I don't know, it's a beautiful little place, but we may not get back there again. So yeah, that was a lot. Now, that's not the context in which it came up, and I'll spare the person that, but it's funny because now that she said it, do you ever have that, friends, an expression sticks in your head? And I realize I say it a lot. I pick up people's expression. If you spend time with me in person, I will, number one, probably pick up any accent that you have, and two, I'll pick up expressions that you have. So that is something that I do, but not only did I start realizing I was saying that expression a lot, but I realized it's all around me. It is in podcasts. It is in vlogs. It's literally in the audio book we were listening to. So what do people mean by it? I think people actually mean a lot of different things by that expression. I know there are people on, I'll say on the autism spectrum, but not just them, people with sensory overload disorders. where they may have heightened sight, heightened hearing, heightened sense of touch. So from touching them like this is like a punch. Normal sounds that are normal to us can be just excruciating to them. So in a social situation where you've got a lot of different things going on, different conversations going on, different volumes, different accents, that can be a lot for them, and they need to go away. They need to process little chunks. Oftentimes, people who have that going on, I have found, not all of them certainly, but some of them have multiple trains of thoughts going on all the time, and so when you add extra sensory input, they just literally can't do anymore. And it's funny because us neurotypicals are probably maybe, I know I can run like 2 or 3 trains of thought at a time, but we're talking like 7 trains of thought at one time that they can keep track of. And so you throw in something else and the trains all derail basically, and they need to go away and relax and soothe their senses, however that is. And you may see some people rocking or doing various gestures that do help with that. That's why hammocks, I think all of us like hammocks. That is something that kind of seems to soothe and realign your senses. Listening to classical music has that effect on a lot of people. It seems there's some kind of brainwave thing going on, and it's resetting it, right? So you get that feeling when you're on the ocean sometimes, or in a kayak, a boat, just a gentle one, not something crazy. Because when it's too much, again, that is also too much. There's just a right thing. And it's kind of funny, it's almost like being in your mother's womb, that gentle back and forth. And you can see me, I tend to turn in my chair, I'll do it. A lot of us do that. And sensory overload, like where does that even come from? And what it reminded me of is notebook. Oh, can you see what this is? Clearly it's Nature and Grace. It's my formal book on nature and grace. This is a class I took at Holy Apostles College and Seminary in my master's program, which we finally just graduated from. The graduation kept getting put off because of COVID, so we had that this week, and I got to watch the virtual graduation in our hotel room. My husband managed to hook my phone up to the TV so that we could actually watch it, and that was lovely because I got to see some of the people that I graduated with, and although some of them I'm not 100% sure that it was their real name or a real picture, because there were some sisters from parts of the world where they can't publicly use their names and things because their lives could be put in danger. It was still nice to see them, and they had them up there. I feel that that's, a little hint that sister was doing okay, and I was giving thanks to God for that, because not knowing how they were was also a lot. It put them on my mind a lot that time. So that's what I meant by that expression, is I was thinking of them often and praying for them and hoping that they were doing well and able to take care of, I think in this case they took care of orphans mostly. Very sad situation in that country where their religion is not just oppressed, but even their good works. They aren't even recognized for their good works. So I went and grabbed, it sounded very much like Father Brian Milady. Now you may be able to watch him. I think he does one of the open line. Sorry, I don't know where this blue dot is coming from. It seems to appear on my glasses. It's driving me crazy. Sorry, friends. Father Brian Milady, there's a day of the week where he is on EWTN open line, and you can watch that or listen to it. So I watch it on the YouTube channel, and I get a kick out of it because I kind of miss Father Milady yelling at me. I don't know why. Maybe he did it a lot, but he is very much a great and kind man, as well as a very learned scholar, and he can break down complex theological things very simply, but you still have to, you can't color outside the lines in theology, and he lets you know that. And so I like that he's willing to call you out. That's probably it. I like that he's willing to call you out, because theology is a lot and you need a clear guide to it. And he does that on Open Line Wednesday. You can send in questions and he will answer them. So what did it make me think of? Saying it's a lot. Now for me, if you talk to me in person, you might say something and I'm like, or I may talk a lot. What I'm doing when I'm talking a lot is not just sharing my story, but I'm trying to process whatever it was you said. And so like 3 days later, I might come up with a good question for you. It's there, but I have a slower processing speed. I just try and hide it well. Unfortunately, it comes across that I'm not listening, but I am. It's just that other track of me is trying to process what you're saying. And so it made me think of his talk on, what was the official talk? The states of nature. You have to love this. This is a quote from Aquinas. The natural desire of the rational creature is to know everything that belongs to the perfection of intellect, namely the species and genera of things and their types, and these everyone who sees the divine essence will see in God. But to know other singulars, their thoughts and their deeds, does not belong to the perfection of the created intellect, nor does its natural desire go out to these things. Neither again does it desire to know things that exist not as yet, but which God can call into being. Yet if God alone were seen, who is the font and principle of all being and of all truth, he would so fill up the natural desire of knowledge that nothing else would be desired, and the seer would be completely beatified. Hence, Augustine says in Confessions 5, unhappy the man who knows all these things, the creatures, and knows not thee. But happy the one who knows thee, although he knows not these other things. And the one who knows both thee and them is not happier for knowing them than for knowing thee alone. You could contemplate that forever, friends. And you know how I'm always talking about getting out and knowing the animals around you, knowing the natural history of them, and how valuable that is. But if they're not leading you to God, it's worthless. It's worthless. And so I do actually BioBlitz. I was BioBlitzing the whole trip. What is BioBlitzing? I take pictures of things in nature. I use that app, My Naturalist app, and I log where they are and where I've seen them. And I do feel it's a valuable thing to do. Let me just check. iNaturalist. It's iNaturalist, a lowercase I. And I upload all kinds of things. The snake I saw yesterday, flowers, lichens, all kinds of things. I'm definitely right now bio-blitzing any kind of bunny I see because there is a rabbit epidemic going on. And that data, knowing where the rabbits are healthy, is super duper important right now. But is it as important as God? Absolutely not. I do this, and it's a citizen science project, and it's helpful for the earth. Yes. Does it help me get to know God better? Yes and no. Now here's how it helps me get to know God better. In this case, what it is that I might take a picture of a beautiful plant that I don't know, or an animal that I don't know. And I am delighted because there's a community that helps me learn more about them. Other people come in and ID them, give me tips, facts. It's great. And I love getting to know the world around me because I am marveling at the hand of God in creating them. It's just so amazing to me. And yet, would I rather just know God completely? Yes. So are there times when I set the phone down and I went into the portiuncula and prayed? Absolutely. And I forgot completely about little Mr. Bunny who was outside the portiuncula. My focus was completely on God. Now, what's interesting here as well is Father Milady goes on and talks about the states of nature. He says they've traditionally been divided into three major ones, with one of them then divided in two. So we had the state of original justice, which was the holiness of integrity. Holiness of integrity. Man before original sin. Then there was the state of original sin and redemption. That's number two. They were both number two, A and B. State of original sin and redemption. And three is the state of glorified nature, which will be man in heaven, completed and perfected. How amazing. The formal cause of all these states is the relation of the powers of the human nature to grace. So our relationship to grace is what determines where we are. It's also been said traditionally that there are three sorts of gifts in the state of original justice. There was the supernatural gift of grace, the preternatural gifts present in the powers of the soul, and the natural gifts of the powers of the souls themselves. Those powers are intellect, will, emotions, and body. And in original justice, when we had grace in our intellect, we had infused knowledge. When grace it was into our will, we have loving obedience. When that grace is in our emotions, we have spontaneous virtue. We didn't have to work at it. Spontaneous virtue. And when that grace was infused into our body, we had no suffering and death. And so those are called preternatural gifts. Now, in original sin, we lost that infused grace, right? And we were given ignorance, malice, concupiscence, suffering, and death. Like, what are we going to do? And even with redemption, we are restored. He tells us here that Jesus restores man to grace in the state of redemption, but he does not restore man to the preternatural gifts. Adam lived a gracious life without struggle before sin. Now man lives the life of grace only with struggle. The struggle is both joyfully born because Christ by his cross has given us the strength to live this life of grace. In fact, the suffering experienced in living the life of grace is now Christians' share in the cross of Christ, and we will be glorified, and we will have I feel a little awkward. I'm not going to give you everything from Father Milady. You're going to need to get out and take that course. It is a course called Nature and Grace. There is really a prerequisite to that class as well, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm very sorry. And you can take that class at Holy Apostles College and Seminary. Those classes are available online. They are very... It's a university that was doing online like before anybody else was doing it. They're very good at it. They are very, very good at it. And you will fall in love with Father Milady as a mentor as well. And I know you're going to want to know, what is our glorified nature going to look like? Not going to tell you. I'm sure you can look it up in the Catechism or in Thomas Aquinas yourself. But I just want you to know that. So I don't see Adam and Eve when they were in the Garden of Eden. They probably weren't going, God, that's a lot. Because he had given them the grace. They had that infused knowledge, loving obedience, spontaneous virtue, no suffering and death. And when they said it's a lot, they were like, that's a lot. And we do need to think about that. So when you catch yourself saying it or you hear it, ask someone what they mean. And ask them what they need. We can't give them that grace. We can pray with them, but we can't give them the grace to restore those things, can we? But we can bear that cross a little bit with them. We can't be that grace. We're not the power of God there helping them, but we can help them a little bit. See, okay, I see that you're bearing that cross. Can I walk beside you? Can I help you a little bit with that? So when somebody says it's a lot, say, okay, do you need more time? Do you have questions? Like, tell me a little bit more when you say it's a lot. Do you need a break? I think especially with everything that just happened at the Olympics, don't just say it's a lot. Tell me what you need, and we'll pray over it. We'll talk about it. Let me bear this cross with you, friends. I guess that's where I'm going to leave you. Yeah, this weekend kind of was a lot. I'm still processing it all. And if you could pray for me, that'd be great. Quick, we had a question on the little office of Baltimore. Do we say the collect at the end of every office? No. It will tell you when you do. Here is said the proper collect of the day. Can you say it? Absolutely, you can say it whenever you want. Add it in. Go ahead, especially in private recitation. Now, if you're singing in a group, please don't add things. That gets really, really confusing. I know if you've never gone somewhere and you join a group praying the rosary and they have 50 prayers they've added on, but they're not in the program they hand you, please don't do that, friends. That is so confusing to everyone, and it's really exclusionary. Please don't do that. If you have a printed handout, stick to the printed handout. Use it in order. But when you're praying it in privately, you can say the collect here, right here, but you can add it other places when you're saying it by yourself. But remember that you're adding it, and please don't do it when you're doing it in a group, especially not with new people or without warning. It's very disorienting, and it makes the person feel like, hey, that's a lot. And life, friends, is a lot. But the good news is Christ gave us everything we will ever need. He's given it to us. He wants to give it to us. All you have to do is ask him, friends. You can look at that cross and say, it's a lot, God, and I give it all up to you. I offer it all up for you. And bear that cross, help others bear their cross, and bring others to Christ. God bless you, friends.